What's up, guys? I'm SaltEMike, and this is your Star Citizen Week in Review for September 11th, 2023. We had a ton of quality of life and bug fixes for 320 this week. They're selling a ship, so naturally ISC was, well, the way ISC has been, and 321 was teased, and I expect a lot more from that in terms of the features than I did in 320. All that and more on today's Week in Review. And as always, if this is your first week in review, this is where I take all of the official Star Citizen news each week, put it into one video, and share some of my opinions about it. I also live stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/SaltEMike, every day but Monday, so I can get this video out to you guys starting at 6:30 a.m. Eastern Time. But we have a lot of notes to get through, so let's jump into those 320 patch notes. We had 3 patches this week, and we'll start out with Tuesday, which was a smaller patch in comparison to the others, but they've had a number of notable fixes. So they fixed the ping wave so you can actually see at night again, and they seemed to have a big performance issue for the server when the Hull C was streamed in and out, and that may have been what was causing all the stuttering we've seen on the PTU so far. And as always, they fixed a number of crashes. Then we had a patch on Wednesday where they've added some features. Specifically, combat logging has now been addressed, so if you're involved in combat outside the safe zone, your character will remain in the game when you attempt to log out. It's simple stuff, but the basics have been missing from Star Citizen for a long time now. They've also updated a HUD feature for quantum travel. This isn't a huge deal for most of us, of the people that are watching, as many of you probably know how QT works and how to get around the many issues with it, right? But for new players, this is definitely going to be a fix that's going to make their life a lot easier. And I also think, if you didn't notice, they removed a lot of elements from the HUD, which is getting incredibly cluttered at this point, right? They added the mining HUD to the Argo Mole's pilot HUD by pressing M. This, again, isn't that big of a deal, but if you've ever piloted the Mole, there's a lot of sitting around and doing nothing. So this allows the pilot to kind of captain the Mole a bit more and call out laser power and so on, which has helped. But I think you can also use it for helping out with the scanning process as well. For bug fixes on Wednesday, the big one here is they seem to have nailed the invisible player bug. We'll see on this one. It'll take a much larger wave to, like maybe something like Jumptown as well, to know if they've really gotten it. And if you've ever docked a Hull C during the update, you'll appreciate that they fixed the docking audio, because it was crazy. Then our last patch this week was on Friday. They're continuing to add features like HDR. I do have an HDR monitor, but I don't know what it is, maybe because of streaming and my capture card or something. I cannot turn HDR on through Windows 10 for some reason. So leave a comment down below and let me know what you think about the HDR in Star Citizen, if you've experienced it. But so far, I haven't been able to, so I can't really touch on it. Other feature updates, they've updated some keybinds, and they're important keybinds. The Moby Glass moved from F1 to Tab, and scanning moved from to hold V from Tab. So I don't know. The F1 thing kind of makes sense. Your Moby Glass is very important. Having it all the way up on a key that's pretty hard to hit quickly is a bit silly. So putting it on Tab, I think, makes a lot of sense, as things like inventory in other games are on Tab as well. But I would have liked to see inventory on Tab. I would have also liked to see, instead of scanning mode on V, I would have liked to see voiced over IP. I think that that's like a really important keybind that is on numpad plus all the way a ways away. So hopefully they address that at some point. And they made a few minor fixes to the Moby Glass background and adjusting some combat logging messaging. The bug fixes for the week, which was their largest bug fixing patch in terms of numbers, they continued to fix the invisibility bug, which leads me to believe that they never had it in the first place, as well as it's probably not completely gone. They also fixed a really problematic ship spawning issue that basically made the last patch unplayable. And they actually never had the Mole HUD in on the Wednesday patch, so it should be there now, and many more updates. Link to those notes will be in the description. There was a patch, or there was actually 2 patch watches this week, and there's a lot here, so I'll make a few key callouts. If I haven't discussed it in previous videos or anything like that, you should check out my sneaky update, 320 update that we posted last week. It hits on most of these. So hostility to party members is no longer deemed hostile in terms of how the server labels you, so you won't be attacked by an NPC or other players, or at least you won't be openly able to be attacked by them. Impound timers are much more chill now that Port Olisar is gone. RIP Port Olisar. And you only need to scrape 50% of a ship to gain the next level of progression in salvage missions. Then you can just abandon. And lastly, Rudo is back, but the rep grind to get him is ridiculous, tedious, and boring. So I haven't gotten there to see if like his hologram comes up or if his like mission giver missions are really there. Right now, it's just the garbage missions, which aren't very interesting. And then 321 was noted. So no surprise at all. Jake hinted at 321 as our next patch, but many people were surprised. And like assuming next patch will be 4.0 or something. I'm not sure where they're getting their information, but we haven't had any movement or discussion around PES, server meshing in months. And when CIG is silent, that is never a good thing. Never forget iCache or the countless other things they started and didn't finish, right? I expect bigger things out of 321 as quite a few things fell off for 320. The law system updates for one, but I don't expect the world. If the letter for the chairman are, you know, ever to be followed, there is a chance that when we are ready to test server meshing, it will be on a PTU build for quite some time while we play a patch like 321, but I'll believe that when I see it. PES improvements need to come first, so where are they? So for now, I guess I'll take what I can get and, you know, on the improvement side, and then hope that we move more on the gameplay side. I have zero confidence in any 4.0 patch or expectations with it, so that's really all we had this week. It is quite a bit. There's a lot to get through, and quality of life is great, and I appreciate it. And I'm going to pat them on the back for doing it, but they need to keep doing this. There are so many known issues on the known issue list just for this patch, and thousands of other known issues for the game. So they have to continue this as a thing for it to really matter. And yeah, let's talk about roadmap updates. This is a small one. For release view, they simply added the Mirai Fury LX, which we'll talk about more in the video update section. And for the progress tracker, the newly combined Austin and Montreal teams that now make up the North American PU feature team have a limited schedule on the progress tracker, but more will be added in the future. For now, it's just freight elevators and persistent hangars, two of the features that actually make the proper cargo update, not just the larger physical boxes that we have today. This is the actual cargo refactor. Another thin update, though, so I just see a lot of people kind of bummed out by it, but it's very thin in terms of features, right? There's actually a chance that 320 has been, now that it's been announced, that we'll see more movement on the roadmap, maybe after CitizenCon or whatever, but we should see some actual features, I hope. And then video updates. We had an Inside Star Citizen and a Star Citizen Live this week. Inside Star Citizen was called On Racing, and surprise, surprise, we had an ISC about racing, but it was mostly just the devs talking about how good or bad they were at it, and until they got to the Fury, which is where they gave us an overview of what it can do.
So the Fury LX is absolutely for the racer who wants maneuverability over all else. With its gimbling thrusters, with its extra horizontal thrusters, it will easily outmaneuver pretty much anything else out there.
And of course, it's the best at something. I will absolutely try racing in this ship over any other because I prefer the snappy turning of ships like this, but it is hard not to point out that every time a ship comes out, it's the best at something, and it's being sold so hard to us. It's very hard to ignore. Next up, they share a bit on the new tire models, and that should make ground vehicles feel a lot more realistic.
It allows us to create a lot more kind of fidelity within the physics for the ground vehicles. So we've got a curve of forces that allow us to control how the vehicles feel and basically how much grip they have when you try and turn a corner in these vehicles. So it gives us a lot more fidelity, a lot of control, and this has allowed us to remove a lot of the old arcade mechanics that the old ground vehicles had.
And I don't have a lot more to add here, other than that it feels like it's starting to, you know, it's a good starting off point rather than a finished product. I look forward to seeing how vehicles feel as time goes on, but more importantly, I look forward to them having an actual use case, right? And then for Star Citizen Live, it was a game dev, Arena Commander 3.0. So it was another Arena Commander episode and another game dev episode, but it wasn't even that. It was literally just the Arena Commander devs playing Arena Commander game modes and discussing them a little bit. But there were many bugs and issues, and honestly, it didn't make the update look so great. So yeah, maybe we don't do something like that anymore. And I'm just gonna say it, like, I love making Week in Review. I absolutely despise going over the video update section now. It is so difficult to get through because there just isn't much to share with you guys, and it's incredibly frustrating. And then for other updates, we had a sneak peek, and to nobody's surprise, it's a ship. They've teased multiple times now, the Santokai, Xi'an Heavy Fighter, in a world where heavy fighters still feel not good. And the more time they take on this, I think the closer we get to a dialed-in master modes is probably the better. So take your time. I guess sneak peek more of these things, and we'll be ready to enjoy it when it's ready to be enjoyed. But at this point, I don't get excited for any ships, specifically heavy and medium fighters, until we kind of see how they play out with master modes. Then we had some subscriber rewards. We had a subscriber update. So the first reward is a simple 2-sided die. It has red or blue lights, and it's going for $10 subs. The $20 sub gets a 6-sided dice set, and very different for people purchasing on the subscriber shop, they'll get a 20-sided plushie set, so much larger basically. And they leaked by accident before we even finished voting the Corsair One Ship Showdown, so subs can try it for free. And that's really all we have this week. Not a whole lot going on in terms of new things, but a lot of quality of life updates, and I welcome them. I really hope they keep up with this stuff, and I hope you guys really enjoyed the show. And if you did, make sure you leave a like, comment on anything I spoke about, or I might have missed, I should say, and subscribe for more weeks in review. And as always, thank you so much for watching, guys.